Welcome to my channel. Let me ask you something. Can 5 years of simple English practice change your life? Maybe you're just starting your journey, or maybe you've already begun, but feel lost. I understand. I was there too. I didn't go to a fancy school. I didn't have native speakers around me, but I had a dream and a small voice inside that said, just try. Today, I will share with you my 5-year English journey, from shy beginner to daily speaker. Every chapter is real. Every mistake, every win, every word, I lived it. And maybe, just maybe, my story will become your story too. So stay with me till the end. It might just change how you see your English forever. Chapter 1. My first sentence. The door opened. It happened on a hot day, the kind of day where the sun feels heavy on your skin and the streets move slowly. I was walking through the market with my younger sister. We had a list of vegetables to buy. Onions, potatoes, and maybe some fresh mangoes. My mind was full of simple things, prices, heat, lunch. I wasn't thinking about English at all, but sometimes English finds you when you're not ready, and that's exactly what happened. As we walked past a small fruit stall, I noticed a man standing near the edge of the road. He looked confused. He kept checking his phone, turning it in all directions like it might show him the answer. Then he looked up and glanced around. His eyes stopped on me. He smiled. He walked over slowly. I felt something strange in my chest, like butterflies, but faster. He said, "Excuse me, do you speak English?" My mind went blank. I heard the words clearly. I understood them, but my body froze. My heart beat faster. My lips didn't move. I wanted to run, to hide behind my sister, but something small and strong inside me said, "Try. Just try." I took a breath, a big one. My mouth opened and I said, "Yes, a little." That was it. 3 simple words. But those words, they were everything. The man looked relieved. He said, "Can you tell me where the bus stop is?" I knew the answer. I passed that place every day. But in that moment, my head was like a noisy room. Words were hiding. Sentences ran away. I felt panic again. But then I remembered a phrase from my English class. Go straight, turn left. So I said it, slowly, carefully. Go straight, turn left. Bus stop is near the bank. The man listened. He smiled again. "Thank you very much." I said, "You're welcome." He walked away and I just stood there. My hands were shaking. My heart was loud. But something else was louder. Pride. I had spoken English. Not in a classroom, not in a textbook, in real life. And he understood me. I looked at my sister. She smiled and said, "You did it." I nodded, but inside I was jumping, flying. I felt strong. I felt brave. I felt like the door had opened. A big door, a door to something new. That evening, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I repeated the conversation in my head. "Do you speak English?" "Yes, a little." "Where's the bus stop?" "Go straight." It played again and again, like a song. And each time, I smiled. That moment changed something deep inside me. It was small, but powerful. It showed me that English is not only in books. It's not only for exams. It's for life, for connection, for helping, for speaking your truth. After that day, I started to see English differently. I didn't wait for the teacher to ask questions. I asked them. I didn't hide in the back of the classroom. I raised my hand. I watched English videos on my phone. I read signs on the street. I practiced speaking with my sister, even if it was just one sentence a day. We made a game out of it. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. Where are you going? I'm going to the market. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was practice, and that small sentence, yes, a little, became my key. My first key. It didn't open everything at once, but it unlocked the door. The door to speaking, to learning, to believing. So if you're watching this and you've never spoken English out loud, I want to tell you something. You don't need to be ready. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need a full sentence. You just need to try. Even if your heart beats fast. Even if your hands shake. Even if your voice is small. Say it. Yes, a little. Hello. My name is... Say it now, because your first sentence might feel small, but it can open a big, beautiful door. That's how it began for me, and that's how it can begin for you. Chapter 2. You don't need to be perfect to start speaking. My first job was in a small cafe. It was a cozy place, just down the street from my home. I still remember the first day I walked in. The walls were bright. The smell of coffee filled the air. Soft music played in the background. But my heart was louder than everything. It was my first real job, and I had to speak English. The manager smiled at me. Her name was Anita. She wore a red apron and spoke softly. "Good morning," she said. "Are you Ronnie?" I nodded and said, "Yes, I am." My voice was quiet. My hands were cold, but I was speaking. She showed me the cafe, the tables, the counter, the coffee machine, the menu. She explained everything. I understood some words. Others felt new. Espresso, takeaway, receipt. I repeated them in my mind. I didn't understand everything, but I tried. Then Anita said something I will never forget. She looked at me and smiled gently. "Don't worry, we'll help you." Those words felt like warm tea. They made my fear smaller. Then I met Tom. He was another worker, friendly, kind, from England. His accent was new to me, different, fast. But he slowed down. "Welcome to the team," he said. I said, "Thank you." He said, "If you need help, just ask." I smiled. That smile gave me courage. Soon it was time to take my first order. A woman walked in. She said, "Hi, can I have a black coffee and a muffin, please?" I froze. My mind went quiet. Then noisy. I didn't remember what muffin meant. My eyes looked at the pastries. Muffin? Muffin? Oh, I saw it. I pointed. "This?" She laughed softly. "Yes, that one." I smiled. "One black coffee and muffin." "Okay." I brought her order. "Here you are." She said, "Thank you." I said, "You're welcome." I did it. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Later that day, a man came in. He said, "Can I get an iced latte and 2 croissants?" I nodded. I remembered latte. I remembered croissant. I turned to the machine, made the drink, took the pastries. I placed everything on the tray and walked to him. Here's your coffee and cake. He looked at me kindly. Oh, these are croissants, he said. Cake is different. I felt my face go warm. I had made a mistake, but he wasn't angry. He was teaching me. I smiled. Yes, sorry. Croissants. He smiled back. No problem. Your English is good. I laughed. I'm learning. That one mistake didn't make me feel bad. It made me feel better. Because I learned. I learned the difference between cake and croissant. And I never forgot again. That's how it was at the cafe. I spoke English all day. To customers. To Tom. To Anita. Some sentences were smooth. Others were broken. Some words I knew. Others I learned on the spot. But every moment taught me something. I heard the same phrases again and again. Would you like sugar? Here or takeaway? Enjoy your drink. At first, I just listened. Then I started using them, slowly, simply, with more confidence each day. And something magical happened. I stopped waiting to be perfect. I started using what I knew. I asked questions. How do you say this? Is this correct? Tom and Anita helped. Even the customers helped. No one laughed. No one made me feel small. They saw my effort and respected it. One day, a woman said to me, "Your English is improving." I said, "Thank you. I try every day." She said, "It shows." That short sentence made my whole week brighter. When I went home, I told my sister. She clapped. "See, you're doing it." I smiled. "Even with mistakes," I said. "Yes," she said, "especially with mistakes." And she was right. Mistakes are not the end. They are the beginning. They are not something to be afraid of. They are your teachers. They are part of your voice. I kept working at the cafe for 6 months. Every day I learned something new, a new word, a new sentence, a new confidence. When I looked back, I didn't remember every grammar rule, but I remembered the warm smiles, the helpful hands, the kind corrections, the small victories, and I learned something very big. You don't need to be perfect to start speaking. You don't need to know everything to use what you know. You just need to begin with what you have, where you are. If you're watching this and waiting for the right moment, this is it. Speak now. Make mistakes. Ask questions. Accept help. Because speaking with mistakes is better than silence with fear. I started with fear, but I kept going with courage, and you can too. Because perfection doesn't open the door. Your voice does. Chapter 3. Speaking with confidence starts small. When people ask me, "How did you become confident in English?" I smile quietly. Because the truth is, I didn't start confident. I started scared. I started slow. I started small. But I started, and I started alone. There was no crowd, no classroom, no partner, just me in my room, with my small mirror, my old phone, and my big dream to speak English without fear. One morning, I decided to try something new. I stood in front of the mirror. I looked at my face. I looked into my own eyes. It felt strange. My reflection stared back at me like it was waiting. I smiled, nervously, and whispered, "Hello." Nothing special, just that one word. But it felt new. It felt alive. I laughed. My voice sounded funny. My lips didn't move smoothly. I tried again. "Hello, my name is Ronnie." I said it slow, then again, a little faster. I watched my mouth move. I watched my eyes. I stood straighter. Then I added more. "I live in India. I work in a cafe. I want to speak English better." I repeated those sentences 5 times each. I listened to the rhythm. I felt the words on my tongue, and the more I spoke, the less strange it felt. Something was changing inside. That's how it began, my daily mirror practice. Every morning before work or school, I gave myself 5 minutes. 5 minutes to speak to myself in the mirror. No grammar books, no pressure, just me, my words, and my reflection. Then I remembered something my teacher once told us, a method called shadowing. She said, "Watch a native speaker, listen carefully, then copy their voice, their rhythm, their feeling, like a shadow." So one night, I opened YouTube. I searched for easy English conversation. I found a video, a man talking about his day. He said, "I wake up at 7 a.m., I brush my teeth, I eat toast." Simple, perfect. I pressed play, I listened, I pressed pause. Then I repeated after him. "I wake up at 7 a.m., I brush my teeth, I eat toast." My first try was slow, choppy, not clear. I went back. I tried again. This time better. Again. And again. That night, I shadowed 5 full sentences. I didn't understand every word, but I copied his sound, his tone, his calm. I was not just learning words, I was feeling the language, and I felt something even more powerful, joy. Then came the next step. I recorded myself. At first I was shy, even though I was alone. I opened the voice recorder on my phone. I took a deep breath and said, "Today I worked at the cafe. I served coffee. I spoke English." I pressed stop. Then I pressed play. I listened to myself. Some parts were clear. Some parts were funny. One word was too fast. One sentence sounded nervous, but it was my voice, my real effort. And I felt proud. I tried again, this time slower, stronger. I listened again. It was better. I smiled. That became my new habit. Mirror, shadowing, recording. Every day a little bit. Some days I only practiced 1 sentence. Some days 10. But I always did something. One day while practicing in the mirror, I laughed. I had just said, "I am not afraid to speak English," but my voice cracked and my face looked silly. I laughed out loud. But then I smiled deeply. Because even though I looked funny, I had just said something very true. I was not afraid anymore. That moment was small. Just me. Just my mirror. But something big grew inside. A belief, a soft belief that whispered, "You're doing it." And I was. In school, I started speaking more. At work, I didn't stay silent when customers spoke fast. I replied with confidence. At home, I sometimes caught myself thinking in English. I would say, "I'm tired," or "Let's make tea," without translating from my native language. All because of those quiet, silly, powerful moments with my mirror. So if you are watching this and thinking, but I have no one to talk to, let me tell you something important. You have someone. You have yourself. And that is more than enough to begin. Here's how you can start, just like I did. 1. Find a mirror. Speak to yourself for 5 minutes. Use simple sentences. Smile. Watch your face. Feel your voice. 2. Try shadowing. Search for easy English videos. Press play, listen, then repeat. Again and again. Become the speaker's shadow. 3. Record your voice. Say 1 sentence, then 2, then a small story. Listen, improve, repeat. Be kind to yourself. Be proud. 4. Do it daily, even if it's just 2 minutes. Practice is not about time. It's about heart. Your confidence will not come from a perfect sentence. It will come from your daily courage to speak, slowly, simply, truthfully. So go ahead. Look in the mirror. Say your name. Say your dream. Say, I can do this. Because you can. Speaking with confidence starts small, but small steps, taken with love, lead to big changes. Chapter 4. My first conversation with a native speaker. It was a quiet evening. The sky was soft with color, half orange, half gray. I had just finished work at the cafe and was walking home. My bag felt light, but my feet were tired. I passed a small grocery shop, waved to the fruit vendor, and turned the corner. That's when I saw him. A tall man, light brown hair, a backpack, a folded city map in his hand. He looked lost. He was standing near a street sign, looking up, then down, then at his phone. He looked around, then saw me. He walked over slowly and said, "Hey there. Sorry to bother you, but do you know how to get to the train station?" His voice was calm. His smile was friendly. His English was clear, but fast. For one moment, my heart froze. A real native speaker, not my teacher, not a video, not a classmate who also made mistakes. A native speaker, talking to me, waiting for my answer. I wanted to say something right away, but my mouth was slow, my brain was busy. I felt nervous, but I also remembered what I had practiced. In the mirror, in the cafe, in my voice recordings. I smiled. "Yes, I can help." His eyes brightened. I continued. "Go straight, turn right at the signal. There's a bank. The station is behind that." He nodded, repeating my words. "Turn right at the signal. Bank. Behind it. Got it." Then came the moment I will never forget. He said, "Thank you. Your English is very good." My chest felt warm. He said it again with a smile. "Really, you speak very well." I didn't know what to say. I just smiled and replied, "Thank you. I'm learning." He waved goodbye and walked off toward the station, and I stood there, completely still. That was my first full conversation with a native English speaker. No one helped me, no one translated, no one corrected me. And still, it worked. He asked, I answered. He understood, I understood. And that one compliment, "Your English is very good," it became a light inside me, a small light that stayed glowing for days. I ran home, literally ran. I couldn't wait. I opened my notebook, found an empty page, and wrote the entire conversation, word by word. Hey there, sorry to bother you. Do you know how to get to the train station? Yes, I can help. Your English is very good. I read it again. And again. I whispered the words aloud. I practiced the way I said them. I imagined saying them again. I even stood in front of my mirror and replayed the full conversation. I was not trying to be perfect. I was trying to remember that moment, that feeling, and I never wanted to forget it, because it showed me something very important. Speaking English is not about long words or perfect grammar. It's about real connection. It's about being clear, being helpful, being brave. That man didn't care if my sentence had a mistake. He didn't care that I paused to think. He cared that I tried. He cared that I helped him. That's what made it a conversation. Later that week, I told my English teacher about it. She clapped her hands. That's wonderful, she said. How did you feel? I replied. I felt strong. She nodded. That's what English is for, to feel strong when you use it. She was right. From that day, I looked for more chances to speak. I didn't hide. I listened more. I said hello to tourists in the cafe. I asked simple questions. Do you need help? Do you want sugar? How was your day? Not all of them led to long conversations, but some did. And every time, I felt better, braver, clearer. I began to see every moment as a small opportunity. Even just saying good morning to someone new was a step, a powerful step. And slowly, speaking English became less scary, less stressful, more joyful, more real. I didn't wait for big conversations. I built my skills through small ones. And those small talks gave me big courage. So if you're watching this and thinking, I'm not ready to talk to a native speaker, let me tell you something from my heart. You are more ready than you think. You don't need big words. You don't need perfect grammar. You need one thing: willingness. The willingness to try, to say something, anything. Because sometimes one sentence is enough. Enough to help someone, enough to surprise yourself, enough to hear something beautiful like, your English is very good. That one moment became fuel for my journey. And your moment is waiting too. Just one conversation, just one voice, just your heart and your courage. That's all it takes to turn practice into real power. Chapter 5. Daily Practice That Made Me Fluent. After that conversation with the tourist, after he said, "Your English is very good," something inside me changed. I felt a deep excitement, a new kind of hunger. I didn't just want to speak English sometimes. I wanted to live with it, to grow with it, to make it part of my everyday life. So I made a small plan, a simple plan. I called it my English sandwich. One slice in the morning, one slice in the evening, and everything in between was the filling, my day. In the morning, I started with listening, just 5 minutes. No grammar, no notebooks, just my ears. I would wake up, stretch, brush my teeth, and while doing all that, I'd play a short English video, a slow news story, a daily routine vlog, an English learning channel, something soft, something simple, something I could feel even if I didn't catch every word. Sometimes I would pause the video and repeat a sentence I liked. It's a sunny morning. I'm getting ready for work. Let's start the day. I'd say it softly, out loud, with a smile. It helped me feel like I was already speaking, even before breakfast. And at night, after school or work, I did my second slice, speaking. Now, most evenings I was tired, but I still gave myself 10 minutes. No excuses, no pressure, just 10 minutes to speak, to talk to myself, to shadow a video, to read something out loud. Some days I looked into the mirror and said, "How was your day?" And I answered, "I served coffee. I helped a customer. I learned a new word." Other days I watched part of a show, maybe a funny series or a slice of life scene. I turned on subtitles. I listened. I laughed. I copied the actors. "Are you serious? Come on, let's go." "No way!" I mimicked their voices. I even tried to copy their faces and tone. It was fun. It felt real. And some nights I just sang. Yes, sang. I picked an easy English song. I found the lyrics. I played the music and sang slowly. Not perfectly, not beautifully, but joyfully. I learned how words sound in rhythm. I learned the music of English. Then, before going to bed, I wrote in my journal, just 1 or 2 lines in English. Today I felt tired, but I didn't give up. I talked to 2 customers. I said thank you and smiled. No grammar check, no rules, just my thoughts, in English. Day after day, this small sandwich, listening in the morning, speaking at night, started to change something in me. I didn't feel like I was studying English anymore. I was living with it. It was part of my daily routine, like brushing my teeth or drinking water. And then, something strange happened. One night I had a dream. In the dream, I was in the cafe. A man came in, he said, "Can I have a coffee, please?" And I replied, without thinking, without fear, "Of course." One coffee coming up. In the dream, I spoke English, and I understood every word. I woke up, smiling. That was the first time I dreamed in English. It felt like a magic moment, a quiet sign from my brain. You're doing it. You're growing. But the most surprising moment came one day at the grocery shop. I was buying rice and tea. A woman beside me looked at me and asked in English, "Excuse me, is this local rice?" I answered, "Yes, I think so." She smiled. "Thank you," she said. Then she paused. "Are you from here?" I blinked. "Yes, I live nearby." She smiled again. "Oh, your English is so natural. I thought maybe you were from abroad." My heart stopped. Natural. She said natural. That was the moment I knew. My daily practice was working. Not fast, not fancy, but real. Bit by bit, my English was growing. Not just my words, but my feeling, my fluency. So if you are watching this and wondering, how can I become fluent at home? Let me give you this simple recipe. Morning. Listen. Start your day with English sounds. Watch a short video. Listen to a podcast. Let the language enter your ears. Evening. Speak. Mirror talk. shadowing, singing, reading aloud, do something with your mouth, use your voice. Night, write 1 or 2 lines in a notebook, about your day, about your dream, no rules, just real life. Repeat this sandwich every day, slowly, gently, joyfully. You don't need a classroom. You don't need a teacher every moment. You need your ears, your voice, your heart. Because fluency is not something you chase. It's something you build. One day, one word, one habit at a time. That's how I did it. And that's how you can too. Chapter 6. I still remember that feeling. I still remember that day. I still remember that feeling. The sun was bright. The market was busy. I was standing beside my sister, and a stranger looked at me and said, "Do you speak English?" My heart was racing. My palms were cold. But I took a breath, and I said, "Yes, a little." That sentence was so small, so simple, but it changed my life. Sometimes I close my eyes and go back to that moment. I feel the air. I see the man's kind face. I hear my own shaky voice. That was the first time I spoke English outside school. No teacher, no test, just a real situation and a real answer. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't long, but it was mine. I didn't know it then, but that sentence opened a door, not just to language, but to a whole new version of myself. After that, everything began to shift, slowly, gently, but truly. I started saying small things in English every day. Good morning. Thank you. How are you? I used them at the cafe, at school, at the grocery store, and people listened, people replied, people smiled. It made me feel something I hadn't felt before, confidence. Later, I got a better job, one where English was required, not perfect English, just real, clear, polite English. I had it now, because I practiced every day, because I tried, and because I didn't stop after the first mistake. Then something even more beautiful happened. I made friends. Friends from other cities, friends from other countries, people who didn't speak my native language. But we understood each other because we spoke English. We shared jokes, we shared tea, we shared stories. And all of that began with one small sentence. Do you speak English? Yes, a little. That little moment, that first brave answer, grew into something big, something full of connection, of understanding, of change. I no longer waited for the right time. I didn't say, "One day I'll speak." I said, "Today I'll try." And that made all the difference. I remember sitting on my bed one night writing in my English journal. I looked at the sentence I had written. I talked with 3 people today. Just a few words, but those words made me proud. Because a few years ago, I couldn't have written that sentence, and now I could live it. English was no longer just a subject. It was part of my life. But I never forgot the beginning, that first conversation, that shaky voice, that smile I got when someone understood me. It taught me something I'll always carry. You don't have to be fluent to be brave. You don't have to be perfect to be understood. You just have to begin. Sometimes we wait and wait, thinking, I'll speak when I know more. But knowing more doesn't bring courage. Speaking brings courage, one word at a time. So now I want to ask you something. What will your first sentence do? Will it help someone find a place? Will it make a stranger smile? Will it open the door to a job? Will it help you believe in yourself? You never know how far one sentence can go, but I promise you, when you speak it with heart, it will go far. It may take you to a new conversation, a new opportunity, a new version of you. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. My life has changed, not because I learned 10,000 words, but because I had the courage to say one. So if you're watching this and you're waiting for the right moment, let me tell you something I learned the hard way. The right moment is now. Your sentence doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. Say it, whisper it, practice it, because one day soon you'll look back, just like I did, and say, I still remember that feeling. And you'll smile because you'll know. That small moment was the beginning of something big. Chapter 7. Mistakes that helped me learn faster. Let me tell you something I didn't believe at first. Mistakes are not the enemy. In fact, they became my greatest teacher. When I first started speaking English, I was afraid of saying the wrong word. I was scared that people would laugh. I thought if I made a mistake, it meant I was not good enough. But I was wrong, because every mistake I made helped me learn faster. I want to take you back to a few of those moments. They were real. They were awkward. But they helped me grow. The first one happened at the cafe. A customer came in and asked, "Can I get an Americano, please?" I smiled and said, "One American coming right up." He laughed kindly. Americano is the coffee, not a person. I turned red. I smiled. "Oh, sorry, yes. Americano." We both laughed. I never forgot that word again. That moment taught me that making people smile is better than staying silent. Another time, I wanted to tell my teacher, "I'm very excited," but I said, "I'm very exited." She looked surprised. "You're leaving?" I didn't understand. She smiled. Excited means happy. Exited means you went out. I laughed. She laughed. And just like that, I remembered the spelling and the meaning forever. Then there was the time I was with a group of English learners. We were all speaking, sharing small stories. I wanted to say, "My sister gave me a gift," but I said, "My sister gifted me herself." Everyone stopped. Then someone said, "What?" I realized my mistake, and we all burst into laughter. I felt shy at first, but then I laughed too, and now I always remember the difference between gift and give. But the mistake that changed me the most happened during a job interview. It was for a new job at a bookstore. I wanted it so badly. I had prepared my answers. I had practiced in the mirror. I felt nervous, but ready. The manager was kind. She asked, "Can you tell me a little about yourself?" I nodded, took a deep breath, and started speaking. "My name is Ronnie. I am friendly. I love, My mind went blank. I forgot the word. The word was books. Yes, books. the most basic word for a bookstore job. My heart dropped. For 2 full seconds, I said nothing. Then I looked at her and said, "I'm sorry. I forgot the word. I'm still learning." She smiled gently. "Books?" I laughed. "Yes, I love books." She laughed too. "Don't worry, it happens." I continued, a little slower, a little braver. I didn't get every sentence perfect. But I finished the interview. I used my heart. I stayed honest. And when I walked out, I didn't feel like I failed. I felt like I had passed something bigger, my own fear. And 1 week later, they called me. I got the job, not because I was perfect, but because I tried, because I didn't give up, because I smiled through my mistake. That interview taught me something powerful. People don't remember your mistakes. They remember your courage. Now, whenever I speak and make a mistake, I don't panic. I just pause. I correct myself. Or I smile and say, "I'm still learning." And most people smile back. Because they understand. We are all learning, and no one learns without mistakes. So if you are watching this and feel afraid of speaking because you might say the wrong word, please, listen to me. Say the wrong word. Say the wrong sentence. Freeze. Forget. Try again. Smile. Laugh. Learn. Because every time you speak, even with mistakes, you become stronger. You understand better. You remember better. You grow faster. Mistakes are not a wall. They are a ladder. You step on each one and climb higher. So don't be afraid of getting it wrong. Be afraid of saying nothing. Speak today. Make 10 mistakes. Make 20. Because every mistake you make is a step closer to fluency. And trust me, one day you'll look back, just like I do, and say, "I'm so glad I made those mistakes. They didn't stop me. They shaped me, and they can shape you too." Chapter 8. How I started thinking in English. In the beginning, every English word I spoke had to travel a long road inside my mind. First, I thought in my native language. Then I translated it. Then I said it out loud. By the time the sentence came out of my mouth, the moment had already passed. It was slow. It was tiring. And sometimes I just gave up and stayed silent. But one day, something changed. Not all at once, but little by little. I began to think in English. It didn't feel like a big event at first. It felt like a whisper. I remember the first time I noticed it. I was getting ready for work. I looked at the clock and thought, I need to hurry. And then I stopped. Because I had just thought that in English, not translated it, not forced it. It just appeared, soft and natural. I smiled to myself. It felt like I had found a secret doorway inside my own brain. From that moment, I became curious. I asked myself, can I train my thoughts like this? Can I build an English voice inside me? And the answer was yes. I started with small things. When I walked to school, I described what I saw in English. The road is busy. That tree is tall. I feel tired, but I'm going. I didn't say the sentences out loud. I just thought them, like silent practice. Later, when I cooked dinner, I would say in my head, boil the rice, cut the onion, add the salt. It felt strange at first, but it made my mind sharper. I was training it, slowly, gently, like a friend. I called it inner voice practice. At first, it was hard. I made mistakes in my own head. I stopped often. I forgot words, but I didn't give up. I looked at labels in English. I read simple instructions. I listened more to English speakers, not just for their words, but for how they thought. And then something funny happened. One evening, I was at home with my cat. She was sitting beside me, looking sleepy. Without thinking, I said, "You're so lazy today." Out loud. In English. Then I froze. I looked at her. She blinked, and I laughed. A big, loud, joyful laugh, because I had just spoken English into my cat. Not on purpose, not for practice, just naturally. Just like that. That was a beautiful moment. A spike. A sign that something deep inside had changed. My English was no longer outside me. It had become a part of me. From that day, I began to notice more small changes. I didn't translate in my head when someone spoke to me. I understood the meaning directly. I didn't stop to think about grammar before answering. I just spoke. When I saw a poster or a sign in English, I read it automatically, not slowly, not painfully, just like I would in my own language. My thoughts were beginning to speak English. One night, I was brushing my teeth and I thought, "Tomorrow, I will wear the blue shirt." Then I stopped again. That sentence was full, natural, unplanned, no translation. And that's when I knew my mind had changed its language. It didn't mean I stopped thinking in my native language. That's still a part of me. But now, English had found a home inside my thoughts, too. If you're wondering how to make this happen, let me share what helped me. 1. Start with small, daily thoughts. Describe what you see, feel, or do in English. I'm cooking. It's raining. I feel sleepy. 2. Practice your inner voice. When you're alone, use your mind to speak. Try full sentences, even short conversations with yourself. 3. Use English in routine moments. Talk to your pet. Name things in your kitchen. Read product labels in English. Make the language part of your environment. 4. Watch and listen more. Let your brain get used to English rhythm. Slowly, it will stop translating and start understanding directly. 5. Be patient and gentle. Thinking in a new language is not fast, but it happens. It grows, like a flower in quiet soil. And one day, just like me, you will notice it too. You will wake up and think, "I need 5 more minutes." You will burn your toast and say, "Oh no." You will see your cat and smile, "You're lazy today." And it will all be in English, not because you tried to be perfect, but because you made English part of your life, part of your thoughts, part of your heart. Thinking in English doesn't begin with books. It begins with small moments, soft steps, brave thoughts. So try it today. One thought, one small sentence in your mind. You don't need to speak it out loud, because the most powerful voice often starts inside. Chapter 9. Helping Others and Finding My Voice. Something special happens when you practice English for a long time. At first, it's all about you. your words, your mistakes, your journey. But slowly, your voice becomes strong enough to do something more, something bigger. You start helping others. I never planned to become a helper. I never saw myself as a teacher or a guide. I was just a learner. I still made mistakes. I still forgot words. But one day, at school, something changed. There was a new girl in class. Her name was Aisha. She had just moved from another town, and she looked quiet, like she didn't want to speak at all. During our first English group activity, everyone introduced themselves. I said, "Hi, I'm Ronnie. I work in a cafe. I like English stories." Then it was her turn. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Everyone turned to look at her. The teacher waited. The room went silent. And I remembered how that silence felt, years ago, when I couldn't speak either. So I leaned over and smiled. I said, "Just say one thing. Maybe, my name is Aisha. You can do it." She looked at me with big, scared eyes. I nodded gently, and then she whispered, "My name is Aisha." It was soft, almost like a breath, but it was real. Everyone clapped, and I felt something rise inside me. Not pride, but joy. The joy of helping someone find their voice. After that, Aisha spoke a little more every day, and sometimes she would sit next to me and say, "Can you help me with this sentence?" I always said yes. That was the first time I felt like my English wasn't just helping me, it was helping someone else. At work, it happened too. A new boy joined the cafe team. His English was very basic. On his first day, I saw him freeze in front of a customer. His face turned red, his hands shook, the words wouldn't come. I walked over and said, "It's okay, just say, 'One moment, please.' That's all." He repeated it after me. "One moment, please." The customer smiled. He relaxed. I saw his shoulders drop, and I remembered that feeling. The first time someone helped me speak, and now I was that person for someone else. That's when I understood something powerful. When you share what you've learned, your voice becomes bigger, stronger, kinder. Later, I started helping online. I joined small English forums. I wrote comments in simple English, encouraging beginners. Don't worry about grammar. Just speak one sentence. You are doing great. Some people replied, "Thank you. I was scared, but now I'll try." I was surprised. My small words made someone else feel brave. Then one day, a classmate said something that stayed with me forever. We were practicing introductions again, and Aisha stood up confidently this time. She said her name, where she was from, and even what she liked. Everyone clapped. After class, she came to me and said, "Because of you, I said my first sentence." I blinked. "What?" She smiled. "You were the first person who made me feel okay to speak. That's why I tried." I felt tears in my eyes. That moment, those words, were one of the biggest gifts in my entire English journey. Because now, I wasn't just a learner. I was a helper, a guide, a voice for someone who hadn't found their own yet. That feeling gave me the courage to do something new, something I never imagined. I made my first YouTube video. It was simple, just me, in my room, telling my story. I said, "Hello, my name is Ronnie." I was scared to speak English too, but I started with one sentence. You can too. I posted it. My hands were shaking. My heart was fast. But a few days later, I got my first comment. Thank you. I thought I was alone, but your story gave me hope. And just like that, I knew I wanted to keep going, not just for myself, but for every person out there who felt shy, who felt small, who was waiting to speak. Then one day, something even bigger happened. My school held an English speaking day. They asked me to give a short speech. I wanted to say no. I was nervous. But I remembered how far I had come, and I said yes. I stood in front of the class. My hands were shaking again, just like that first day in the market. But I smiled. I spoke slowly, simply, from my heart. I used to be scared. I used to hide. But now I speak. I help. I share. You can too. When I finished, everyone clapped. A few students even stood up, and I realized something. My voice had become more than just mine. It had become a path for others to follow. So if you're watching this and thinking, I'm not good enough to help someone, let me tell you something true. You don't need to be perfect to help. You just need to care. You just need to try. You just need to speak with kindness, with honesty, with love. Because the moment you share your voice is the moment someone else finds theirs. That's how I found mine. And now I want to help you find yours too. Chapter 10. Looking back, looking forward, and you. 5 years ago, I was standing in a busy market. My heart was beating fast. My hands were cold. A tourist looked at me and asked, "Do you speak English?" And I said, "Yes, a little." That moment was small, just 3 words, but they opened a door that never closed again. Today I speak English every day. I've had full conversations. I've helped others learn. I've made videos. I've even given speeches. But I never forget where it all began, with one shaky sentence spoken with courage. Sometimes I still whisper it to myself. Yes, a little. And then I smile, because it reminds me that I didn't wait for perfect. I started with what I had, with what I knew, and most importantly, with what I felt. Looking back now, my journey wasn't fast. It wasn't easy. There were mistakes. There were moments of fear, days I felt stuck, days I felt small. But I kept going, because something stronger than fear was always there. Hope. I remember the first time I spoke to a native speaker and they said, "Your English is very good." I remember the first time I had a dream in English. I remember the first time someone told me, "Because of you, I said my first sentence." And now. I remember this moment, right now, sharing my story with you. This is more than a journey of learning words. It is a journey of becoming, of growing, of finding your voice. And here's the truth I want you to hear, deep in your heart. I'm not done learning. I'm still growing. And so are you. Every day, I still learn new words. I still hear new phrases. I still make small mistakes. But I don't let them stop me. Because learning doesn't end. It just becomes more joyful, more alive, more meaningful. And now, I want to talk about you. Yes, you. Watching this, sitting in your room, holding your phone, wondering, can I do this too? Let me tell you, yes, you can. You don't need to wait for the perfect day. You don't need to know every word. You don't need to be confident. You just need to begin, right now. Say your first sentence. Say it softly. Say it proudly. Say it to yourself. Say it to the mirror. Maybe, my name is, maybe, I want to learn. Maybe, yes, a little. That's enough. That's everything. Because from that one sentence, something powerful will grow. Step by step, word by word, you will change. You will smile more. You will speak more. You will understand more. You will believe more. And one day, you will look back, just like I am now, and say, I remember that first sentence. I remember that first moment. And you will feel proud. So today, I invite you, don't wait. Don't be shy. Don't say, maybe later. Speak now. Speak today. Speak with your heart, because your journey is waiting. And it begins with one simple choice. Say something. And when you do, know this. I'm cheering for you. I'm walking beside you. I'm learning with you. This isn't just the end of my story. It's the beginning of yours. So take a deep breath and say your sentence, because your voice matters and it's ready to be heard. Let's grow together. If my story touched your heart or gave you courage to speak today, then please do 4 small things. Like this video, comment below and tell me, what was your first English sentence? Subscribe to the channel for more gentle, real, and friendly English stories. Share this video with someone who needs hope in their English journey. They need your voice too, and remember, you don't need 5 years to begin. You just need today. Just one sentence. Just your voice. Say it now. Say it proudly, because your journey can begin right now.